Hey guys, how you doing? It's Darren here. So guys, a massive welcome to our first ever episode of Neurodiversity Stories Live. Now we're going to be doing this every single Friday from 11 o'clock up until, we're going to be running these for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how it goes. But we're going to be doing these every single Friday without fail to help spread more awareness around neurodiversity, but also be able to share your guys' stories as well. So I've had an incredible amount of just wonderful people who have reached out to me and asked if they can share their stories as well. So I will be getting back to every single person personally and inviting them onto this LinkedIn Live, but also as well just to be able to share our neurodiverse stories would be incredible. So a tiny little bit about me. So my name is Darren Clark. I'm dyslexic and have ADHD. So there's a neurodiverse element to me. I found out I was dyslexic at the age of 36. So a very late diagnosis. And for the past 2 years, I've been campaigning and spreading more awareness around neurodiversity, not just in this country, in lots of other different countries as well. So guys, today we have an amazing guest. We have Katherine Nichols. She is going to be sharing, and this is the thing about neurodiverse. So I have a problem saying neurodiversity. I mean, it's really tricky. You have dyslexia, which is very hard to say and to spell. You also have neurodiversity, which is very hard. And Katherine is going to be talking to us today about dyscalculia. There we go, dyscalculia. So this. I don't know if they do it to mess with us or not, but these words sometimes can be very difficult to not only say, pronounce, spell. So guys, today we have Katherine Nichols. I'm going to be bringing her in any second now, who's going to be sharing her story about how she deals with this on a daily basis, some of the strengths that she's found with it, some of the things that she's found difficult to kind of live with. But it's inspiring. The story is fantastic. It's going to be really, really great for you to welcome her in. She's going to be talking about that. Then we're going to have a bit of a Q&A. I can see some amazing people have joined us on the live link as well. So, guys, let's get in there. Welcome, Katherine, to our stream. Katherine, good morning. There we go. I think your mic's back on now. I think that's been a common theme throughout these Zoom things when people say your mic's muted. So, Katherine, a massive welcome and thank you so much for being our guest on our LinkedIn Live. We're absolutely thrilled to have you. How have you been?
Oh, I've not been too bad, thank you. Just trying to get on with things. I'm enrolled in 2 courses as well as working part-time. So I have a few things to get on with.
I understand you were doing, you doing your maths beforehand? Was it today you were doing your maths? Because you're retaking.
Yes, it was. Because of the dyscalculia, I decided last year that I would go back to maths. So as an adult learner, I'm working with a Norfolk County Council institution, and it's absolutely brilliant program. And so I've started retaking my maths. My aim is to get a level 2 functional skills, which is the equivalent to a C in GCSE maths, because I never had one of those. But I'm currently, I passed entry level 3 last December, and I'm now working towards my level 1. So it's quite a long journey.
Well, yeah, that's incredible. And, I know we spoke briefly on the phone last night, and you were telling me, ultimately how, and we'll go into this with the Q&A session as well, but how, the maths that you're doing makes you feel, physically afterwards is a struggle. And, that's, I don't think, we realize how much of a struggle these things have. And you were elaborating on that yesterday, weren't you?
Yes, it definitely is quite an effect on me. The lessons are, I have 2 lessons a week, and they're 2.5 hours each. And I have to confess, even though I have a break, after that break, I get to the point where I can feel my brain is going slightly mushy. Thankfully, my tutor, he understands that. And I'll be taking the flight for one-on-one, in a breakout room, something like that. Or maybe he'll give me a slightly different task to finish while I was doing but it definitely has a physical effect that I'm just exhausted after I do maths. As you see me after I do maths homework.
Yeah.
I normally need a good meal or something, or a walk after I finish my maths homework, because I'm not normally in a good frame of mind.
Well, it's incredibly commendable that you're, that you're doing it. You're putting yourself through that in the sense to kind of, so it would be great if you could just share some stories around your dyscalculia. Honestly, I find it so difficult. I know I was trying to say it to you yesterday. I find it so difficult to pronounce that. But if I could hand over to you, you could share your story, maybe when you found out, or how you deal with it on a daily basis would be incredible. So I'll pass it to you, Katherine.
Perfect. Okay, so I was diagnosed dyscalculia when I was almost 19. I was in my third year of college. By that point, I had already obviously taken my GCSE maths, failed it repeatedly. In high school, I came out with an F, which when you compare to my English score, which was an A, it's quite a large difference there. But no one really seemed to think anything of it. I went off to college, and while there, I was there for an extra year because I was trying to retake my maths. It's something that I kept trying to retake, and ultimately, it was my drama teacher who I think it was actually when we had to draw something in drama. And she was an amazing tutor, really was. Fortunately, she passed away the year before last, which was such a shame. It was, I owe her quite a bit. She took me aside and was like, I think maybe there's something not quite right, something not quite right here. So she managed to get me referred to an educational psychologist, and he came in and did the tests and things. And it was confirmed that I had dyscalculia. But if I'm quite honest, I still didn't know really what it was. I knew it was something to do with maths. And I'm afraid things didn't change much in maths class. It got to the point where I was just being given the same papers to do every year. Exactly the same papers and things like that. And I didn't always feel like I had the support, maybe, which would have been useful.
Absolutely.
So after I still didn't manage to pass my maths. After 3 years, I managed to go from an F to an E.
Okay.
So that was rather frustrating, as you'd imagine.
Yeah, bless you.
But it wasn't really until I think last year that I really opened up about dyscalculia and the effects it has, because it's one of the more under-researched, I believe, things within the neurodiverse industry. It hasn't really been researched as heavily as obviously some others. So although there is research out there, it takes a while to find it. And I'm delighted now with things that I found online. But I do wish that when I was younger, I could have had this, because throughout school I struggled enormously with maths. And the problem with dyscalculia isn't just maths; it affects, for example, numbers will sometimes change in front of my eyes.
Okay.
Which is great fun.
Dyslexia for me, words moving around, and that only happens when I'm stressed or tired or overworked. And I realize with dyslexia, I guess, with some people it's a continuation thing that happens with people. And again, not all dyslexic have that element to it. So how did you feel when the numbers were moving around? Is that always something that you've had to live with? I mean, I know it seems a daft question in some aspects, but has it been more prevalent, or is it just something that how do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, when I say moving around, I mean they'll change in front of my eyes to a different number. That's what my main sort of problem with it is. But I'll look at a number, but okay, I'll work it out, and I'll look again. I'm like, hang on, that's changed. So every time I do anything to do with numbers, I just have to double and triple check. Because like the other day, I was reading something out, and I somehow managed to mix up the numbers that I was trying to say, and they were completely different from what was on the board. And then I got confused, panicked. I was like, oh no, what am I doing? My tutor was like, it's fine, just keep going, it's okay. So I sent it to him over text as well. But I think what helps me is just to keep going over it, and just for example, sometimes green paper helps.
Okay.
In my exam, I was really lucky. My tutor was able to get me extra time and green paper. And I found when I'm reading something on green paper, it's stronger and the numbers don't switch as much. I mean, I think maybe when I was younger, the number switching is just something that's happened frequently and something I was just used to, maybe, you know? Because when I was younger, I also didn't have glasses. And I think having glasses helped a little bit, because I can imagine now my brain must be in quite a situation where a dyscalculia mixed numbers up and then my eyes not focusing correctly. That's, you know, I can see why I struggle more. But
absolutely,
you know, the number switching is very frustrating. You know, for example, if you're looking at the calendar, you know, there have been times I remember in college actually looking at the calendar thinking, oh, okay, my exam is on that date.
Yeah.
Turns out I'd actually got it wrong. Thankfully, and then I double checked again. And I was like, hang on, that date's changed. That it wasn't that. Like, you know, that was very frustrating for me. So I think I just like to double check with people. You know, double check times, and it's one of the things that helps, having someone nearby who I can just double check facts with to make sure that it is actually the right number and I haven't just my eyes haven't transformed it.
Absolutely, and we've got some amazing people that's joined us on the chat. And if you don't mind, I'll pick a few as we go on. I'll pick a few of the questions. And I know we've got a few questions as well as, and they'll sort of pop up, and they'll be able to kind of spark a conversation around that side of it as well. So just going with the school element of it, I know someone's mentioned that, how could teachers have supported you better, and if we go back to your diagnosis, what age was it again? Just to clarify again, what age was it when you got diagnosed?
I was almost 19.
Okay.
And upon further research, I discovered that actually it's something that should be diagnosed in first school.
Okay.
So I've gone throughout, most of my schooling and all that.
Gone through your educational side of it, if you first, your primary school and secondary school, if we're talking UK terms and that terminology, primary school and secondary school, and without, that must have been a real struggle for you.
It was extremely difficult.
And if in hindsight, I mean, I know hindsight's such an amazing thing in some aspects, but what would you if looking back at it now, what would you thought the teachers could have helped more with? What can teachers, I guess, help more with students with dyscalculia in schools now?
I think just actually talking to the student, like for example, I can learn something and within an hour it's gone and I've forgotten it. And then when you have to go back into class, say the next day, and you have to try to explain what it is and why you don't understand, it's very difficult. It's disappeared. Even if you've taken notes down, which I do excessively.
Yes.
It goes. And that's something I wish teachers understand more, is that we can't help it. With me, dyscalculia also affects little things like tying shoelaces.
Okay.
And like physical and my spatial awareness is something that I struggle with quite a bit. That's affected by dyscalculia. And if I have to visualize, like for example, if you told me to go northwest, something like that, I couldn't visualize it properly. It's also bad sense of direction. But and I think some teachers didn't necessarily understand that. I think also, unfortunately, my school has some issues. I think at one point I had 3 or 4 different maths teachers in 1 year in high school.
Okay.
And one of the maths teachers that came in, who was later, he was later removed from the school, didn't help matters. He used to just get frustrated, and it often felt like I remember very upset in many maths classes. At one point, due to bullying and things like that, I was taken out of my maths class, which actually worked wonderfully. I was taken to another room, and I had one-on-one tuition with a really lovely lady. She was a really wonderful person. And so my grade eventually started to improve. I think I was around 13 at this time. My grade improved, which was wonderful. And then they saw that and took me out of one-on-one and put me straight back into mainstream classes. At which point
when you got taken out of mainstream education, not mainstream education, but got taken out of the classroom environment. and then put back in, did that fill you with anxiety, or did it?
Completely. I was bullied frequently in high school. I was teased off for the maths situation. I think people were quite cruel about it. They couldn't understand why I couldn't work certain things out. But this is so easy. Why can't you do it? And I said, I don't know. But it was always, my strength has always been within the English language and that sort of thing, and writing. That's why I find my strengths there.
So which brings me on to what is it you do today, and how do you kind of deal with your neurodiversity on a daily basis? So what if you I know what you do on a daily basis in the sense, but it'd be great if you could share it with our listeners. Of course.
Okay, so as well as my maths course, I'm also training to be a journalist. I'm only in the first part of it. It's a long distance learning course I started last April. And I also work as a member pioneer for the co-op, which is basically a part-time role in which I help my store communicate with community groups and connect and that sort of thing. I really enjoy it. But in terms of how dyscalculia affects me, brain fog.
Okay.
I get a lot of brain fog, and there's certain things which I have to try put into order, and I don't understand. It's sometimes what's more important. What is the most important thing I could be doing here, and I can't always visualize why I have to do it that way. I hope that makes sense. It's quite difficult to actually verbalize, but and also timekeeping, because with my role, you're only allowed to do a certain amount of hours per week. Okay. And so I have to make sure I strictly do a timeline. I have to do a timeline. So, if I start at this time and I finish at this time, how long is that? And I have to write it down. But if it gets to an hour and a half, I can just about work that out. But if it gets anything past that, I start to get really confused and I have to ask for help because I just don't understand it. And another topic, it affects the way I handle things, if that makes sense. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but there is a certain door handle.
Okay.
And it's to do with my memory issues, because dyscalculia causes short-term memory issues. So if you have to do something that includes more than 3 steps, then my brain will just go, oh, what's this? And it will immediately forget one of the steps at least. And then I have to then go back and revisit it. And this is all just a door. It's just me shutting a door. And what I have to do now is get both hands, twist it, pull it, and twist it again. Okay. Other people at that door, one hand, they twist, they pull, they walk off.
Is that because it's a process, and like you said, it's over the kind of the 3 steps? I mean, it may act as well as when you tell someone to do something. You tell someone, take the plate out, grab that, do this, or someone gives you some instructions to do something. That then is it? You then just you then just kind of listen to the first thing, the next, the kind of just noise, and then you're trying to refocus back into the.
I mean, sometimes it will be, I'll listen to the first step, but right, I can do that, and then there'll be another step, and then maybe the first step will go away. And now I have to ask for help. I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, please? And what I do, I have to, for example, if I have a role in which I have to do a certain routine, it has to be written down. It has to all be written down. There have been certain roles which include a lot of devices and passwords and things like that. And I had to write down each step for every morning that I was working. I had to make sure it was written down. I had to do a tick next to it, because that's another problem with my short-term memory issues caused by dyscalculia, is that I can't always remember things very easily. If you give me some information, like for example, facts and figures, no, I can remember some really ridiculous facts about cats, flowers, that sort of thing. But actual events, they will just go out my head.
So that brings me on to sorry to interject. That brings me on to you mentioned around how does the visual element play does it help you synchronize things or remember things? So for me, being dyslexic, I see everything in pictures. So I will remember, I'm really difficult to remember names, but I'll remember if the person had a tie on or a certain jacket, or, the hair was a certain way, and I would relate that to that person. I wouldn't necessarily remember the name of the person, but for me, the way that I deal with things on a daily basis is that visual element. Does visual come into any? Does it help with your dyscalculia at all, or is it?
Not much.
Okay.
Although I think I do have quite a creative mind. I've always been quite a creative person. For me, it seems to be if I have an emotional attachment, if that makes sense. If I can relate a certain memory, which I felt a strong emotion, maybe say laughter, something like that, I find it easier to that memory will stay.
Okay.
I know it's very odd, but
it's I completely get it. So you mentioned about the door handle and the different steps. Is there anything else on a daily basis that you find not tricky, but you find that there needs to be a certain process in place for it? Is there anything?
Well, for example, driving. Okay. That is something I've tried to pass my tests now. I think I failed for the 4th time. And the thing is, I can drive, but it's my left and rights. And it's so ridiculous. But my left and rights, I've been getting muddled up for a very long time. And it's got to the point where my old driving instructor would say, no, the other left. And now I go, oh, and I actually have to look at my hands quite frequently. If someone would see me, spot looking down at my hands, see which is left, which is right, because I can't remember.
I get it. There was a post, I think I saw it this morning actually on LinkedIn. Someone shared it, and it was about an article written about a young girl who'd actually had tattooed an L and an R on. I don't know if you've seen it. It's quite a big post.
I think I haven't read it, but I think I've seen it around.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, I thought it was. Again,
it's a good idea
to do it, but it's a good. And there was lots of people, saying if you grab your left hand and it's shaped like an L, and there's loads of different ways, which is great in hindsight. But like I said, when you're making that snap decision, especially driving, and they say take the second left or this, and you're kind of.
And your brain goes, what?
Yeah, I can imagine that can be really, really, really difficult. So when, if and I know we spoke about this before, but when you say, if we were to say, I mean, hopefully with these stories that we're putting out, it's, yes, we're sharing the amazing stories around neurodiversity, but we're hoping as well that people without neurodiversity would watch these and understand more about the way that we work on a daily basis. So if we were to ask someone, and if you had this before, if you asked someone, what would you say was dyscalculia? Do you think the reaction would be, well, they just have a problem with numbers?
Yes. Well, I mean, those people I've spoken to don't know what it is. It's one of the reasons I did a blog post and I'm doing this to raise awareness, because most people go, what on earth is that? And then they go, oh, you just have problems with maths. Yeah. And it's not. I wish it was that simple. Gosh, I wish.
Because you've mentioned, I say reeled off in that sense. You've mentioned so many different attributes to it as well, and I guess you do think, off the back, I guess it's like dyslexia as well. Someone says, well, you struggle reading and writing, but we know there's a whole different, emotional side to that as well. So it's really interesting when you break it down to the effects it has on the day-to-day life. So if I go back to your job, as in what made you, you say you're very creative. Is it? I think I read in your bio. Was it flowers? Is it flower arrangements you do?
Yes. I used to be a florist, but because I'm very slow with my hands, and because of dyscalculia, I'm always the last to finish a task. It's really embarrassing. It was quite frankly a nightmare in school, college, work. Always being the last person to finish something. It's completely embarrassing, but you can't help it. It's just I can't physically help it. I'm just naturally slow, and to be honest, much as I do like floristry, it was mentioned once to me that maybe I should consider it more as a hobby rather than as a career.
Do I think you're right in the sense of, I mean, do you enjoy floristry?
I used
Or
to.
was it the added pressure of having to finish it on a certain amount of time and
Yep.
the surroundings that you were in?
It was when I worked in florist, it was the added pressure and knowing that someone was watching me and waiting. I was going as quickly as I can. I remember once with companies to work for, I was told to go faster when I was cutting some lilies, and unfortunately my coordination then went oopsie and I cut my thumb quite badly on a pair of scissors, which was great fun. It wasn't their fault. It's just the fact they couldn't understand why I wasn't going quicker. And, it's not, and they didn't know about dyscalculia. They didn't know. They knew me from just going to florist regularly, to pick up flowers and things. I mean, I used to enjoy flowers. I think I went to a stage where I didn't after that because I was like, I'm awful at this. Why am I bothering? I mean, I'm okay at it. But that's one of the reasons I don't really do it as a career anymore. I think, although I can do it as, at home, for example, I made a sustainable Christmas wreath over Christmas using moss from the garden, natural things. Yeah. When it comes to actually putting it into place and visualizing where things are going to go, that's when my brain goes, oh dear.
It's almost, that's what I mean. There must have been a passion in the sense that, with the floristry element to it, but it's interesting really that we, as with our neurodiverse brains, that we tend to pick things that normally it would be difficult for people without a neurodiverse brain, and 10 times harder, I guess, with ours. But we tend to go in and think to ourselves, well, actually, we're just going to try it and we're just going to give it a go and we're going to work at it. And do you think that's kind of, what is your kind of drive? Because the things you deal with on a daily basis is incredible, and you're doing your maths, you're doing your the journalist side of it, you're working for Co-op, so these are all incredible things. Some people would just be I don't
know, but thank you.
No, it is. It's truly incredible. But what's that? And it's very difficult. I find it difficult when people ask what my drive is, but it's really interesting to ask people, do you know what your drive is to keep pushing yourself out of these comfort zones?
I think I'm a very anxious person, has to be said. It's something I've struggled with for a long time. And although the funny thing is, despite the extreme anxiety, sometimes I still, when I was younger, would push myself to go and act on a stage. Or I do scare acting every October. That's one of my little things. So despite the fact that I am extremely nervous, I don't know why I push myself, but maybe I'm just, I don't have exactly the best opinion of myself just because of constantly being brought down in school. That's sort of very difficult when you're constantly getting things wrong. So then think you can do something right. So I think I'm just trying to improve myself and maybe try get to a job or a place in which I feel happy, which is something that I can do, because I like talking to people. Brilliant. And I know that's one of my strengths is that, and people, and I like empathizing with people and just talking to them about problems. That's silly, but I've always found that people open up to me, and so previous jobs, it's something I've enjoyed doing.
And that's incredible. And I said to you when we spoke last night on the phone, I said, admiration for yourself is that when I put this out to the amazing people that have all kind of been supportive and connected and said that they want to share their stories, you were literally instantly, like, straight away. It was almost like the post, as soon as it went out and hit send, I was thinking I'd have a notification saying someone liked it. You had a message straight away saying I'm in. So, and I know you were nervous about coming on and talking and stuff, but you need to take that as credit, in the sense that, it's incredible what the comfort zone. You think to yourself, well, I'm just going to smash out of it and continue working, forward on that.
It's just something I have to do. Otherwise I'll be stagnant. And I don't want to be. I want to achieve something and be proud of myself at some point.
So what do you love about journalism then?
Well, I adore writing. I've always loved writing and reading. If I could just read all the time, then that for me would be wonderful. But I enjoy I've always found it easier to put my thoughts down on paper.
Yep.
And it's something which people, I have people who seem to enjoy reading the things that I write. I've always found myself being drawn to that side of things, and I like learning. I like learning new things, and I love reading, different articles and different books, or and I like to learn new things. And that's what I think is good about journalism, is that every time I interview someone, I find out more about what it is, about what they're doing, about different parts of their profession. I get to pick up maybe little bits of knowledge. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't mean I may remember it because of dyscalculia. It may then go out of my brain quite quickly, not for any choice of my own, obviously. But if it's written down, I can then go back to it and I can read it again. If I write things down, there's a better chance of me understanding what's going on.
Have you ever, thank you so much for sharing that. Have you ever used kind of like a recording on your phone, or in the olden days, they say it was a dictaphone or something? Yeah. Do you ever use one of those when you're interviewing?
I do, because I, still training as a journalist. I have a long way to go, but I do use my phone, and there is a dictaphone. I don't have it with my family, but I do but sometimes I actually find it harder to then go through the recordings. Obviously, that's a number situation, because you have to look at the recording and be like, okay, try to write it down during the interview where the comment was made.
Yeah.
But then by the time I found it and gone through the entire recording, I'm like, oh my goodness, all this time. So if I'm hoping in the future to try shorthand once I'm further with my journalism, try my shorthand. Because that's something I don't know how well I'm going to do with it, if I'm quite honest, because symbols or sometimes change in front of my eyes as well. So, but it's something that as a journalist, you can't always have a dictaphone or have a phone with you. You may be in a situation where it's just you and a notebook and a pencil. So you just need to get as much down as you can.
Absolutely. And I guess it was just trying to find different, it was just trying to find different ways of, being able to absorb the information, I guess. And if I can just mention, assistive technology is around us. Hence we can talk on these calls as well. But do you use any assistive technology at all with your day-to-day life? And is that?
No, it's not something I've really thought about using. I don't think I really know what's out there for dyscalculia, to help with dyscalculia. For me, I have notebooks. I love notebooks. I get through them quite quick. That's my main method, is just keep a notebook handy. In my rucksack I have a notebook. In my handbag I have a notebook and a pen. My office I'm just looking at the 3 notebooks I have sat next to me. One for maths, one for journalism, one for co-op stuff.
It's incredible, and it's almost like you don't leave home without the notebook.
No, I try not to. Or at the very, I always try and have some. Even if I don't have a notebook, I'll have my phone, and if I have to, I'll quickly jot down notes on it. Obviously, I'd much rather physically write it, because that's just easier for me.
Yeah. Although
my handwriting is quite bad. But so I don't know how that doesn't make sense really, but there you go.
No, I completely get it. It's funny when you say about, I mentioned, I made that comment about don't leave home without your notebook. It's funny for me with my ADHD, and I tend to, everywhere I go, I was just looking around to see if I had them then. Whenever I leave the house, I mean, it's a little bit difficult at the moment now, but whenever I leave the house, I take my earphones with me. And that was probably because I have this kind of sensory problem where if there's loud noises, it really kind of affects me, and I feel incredibly overwhelmed. So I put my headphones in and I'm listening to my classical music for about 10-15 minutes, or when I'm working, and it almost soothes the mind from racing and hearing those. So that's when we say about, it's almost tools really. Some people would look at headphones as to listen to things.
I like headphones. I like headphones.
They really help. I'm going to just go on to it. Absolutely.
Help me concentrate when I'm
do they?
I listen to music.
is there a certain type of, so for me, it's classical music. I tend to, I like the kind of, so there's no words in there. Is there a certain type of music that helps?
I tend to
that
get
you go to?
obsessive with things, unfortunately. I think I do have some tendencies possibly towards OCD. It's not confirmed, but there are a few things that suggest it, you know. And so I will obsessively listen to maybe a certain genre. At the moment, it seems to be pop music from 2006.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
is there a specific reason why 2000, is it memorable, or?
I'm honestly, I wish I could tell you, but I think it could be for years. I only listened to sort of heavy music and rock and that sort of thing, and then I sort of backtrack. And now I do listen to songs from my childhood.
See, I tend to listen to a kind of a lot of cheesy 80s songs, and then the 90s as well. And every now and again, I hear a modern. I sound really old. I hear like a modern song, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's yeah. I like that one. And then I'm always going back to kind of. I don't know if it's a reminiscence of childhood in that sense, or when you. But yeah, I'm always some of that. So I thought it'd be great. Thank you so much for sharing all these things. One of the things, it'd be amazing. I'm learning so much about this, and I hope all the people that watch this learn more about this as well. So we've just got a couple of more questions for the last kind of 5 minutes that we've got. And I know we spoke with your partner as well, and it was just a case of what it's like living with someone with neurodiversity. And I just thought it'd be great to understand, to get his kind of view on that as well.
Is that my cue?
Yes, your cue.
That's your cue.
Yeah. Good morning, Darren.
Good morning.
Swap places for a moment, Katherine. Okay. Right. Well, so yeah.
Do you want to just introduce? Do you want to introduce yourself and just say?
Yes. So hi everyone. My name's John Gethin. I've been living with Katherine now for just about a year. We basically moved in together during at the beginning of lockdown to make a decision there, and we've been dating for. Better get this right. 2 years before then.
Actually, it's almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years. Yeah. So yes. So I'd say a fairly standard relationship development in that regard. And I guess in terms of living with someone with neurodiversity, yeah, it becomes more apparent when you are spending every day together. I mean, in the sort of the dating phase, there were maybe hints and clues.
I kept it very quiet.
Well, understandably. Yeah, in fact, you're telling me about Left and Rights reminded me about. Do you remember when we were first driving together and you were giving me directions and you used to use? Katherine used to do Viking recreation.
I used to fight with a sword and a shield. I was second in command of my group. I know, it's a surprise, and so
she knew her sword hand.
It's
and
my
her
right
shield
hand.
So she could always do that.
Yeah.
So in the first instance, it was, I guess, little sort of workarounds and tricks like that.
But John learnt more after living with me about.
Well, what became apparent to me, Darren, when we moved in together, was really not so much the dyscalculia directly, but the residual effects of it. So the lacking confidence, the uncertainty, anxieties, the feelings, I suppose, of inadequacy that had been buried for years and years and years. That Katherine was still working through, and she's made incredible progress this year in terms of, acknowledging it, seeking to tackle it head on, and doing it all under her own steam. I mean, she, and I'm all right at maths, but she won't really take any help from me when it comes to her maths.
I'm stubborn.
She's determined. She's got.
That hidden drive.
Yeah, exactly, and finding things like this as well, which is a great initiative. This is just the kind of thing. I mean, I've been an educator myself for quite a long time now, and there is still a lot of lack of understanding around neurodiversity. It's better understood in the community, the neurodiverse community, than outside of it, and I really hope things like this are going to help to bridge that gap. I've got every reason to suppose they will as well with what I've seen in the last sort of half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah. It's been incredible. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on. It's great to meet you and share that with us. It's so important that we understand, to have an incredible support network around, within partners, friends, colleagues, and things like this. So having that is so, it's helped me immensely. So it's incredible that we all have that. So thank you so much indeed for your time. I really appreciate it.
Welcome, Darren. I'm going to pass back over to Katherine now.
Pass the hot seat back over. Thank you so much for that. So I've just got just a couple more.
Of course.
So what's and then I'll just dive in quickly to the questions that we got. So what steps are you taking to manage your dyscalculia?
So obviously,
the right pronunciation.
So I struggle with it sometimes as well. Learning and taking a maths class for me is the main one, and I have seen improvements on my maths abilities. But I also am just trying to work on methods like calming myself down. So one of the problems with dyscalculia is that I will get extremely frustrated and cry. It's very embarrassing, and it's very difficult because you'll be in any math situation and I can just feel that, and it will just let loose. And so I'm trying to work on stopping that from happening.
Okay.
Just like deep breathing, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So that's the element of being able to manage it on a daily basis. So what I would say is we're coming to the end of the show, the talk. There are a trillion questions all on down there.
I'm happy to answer them.
So what we'll do is we'll collate the questions, and between the two of us or three of us, we'll put these answers out to them, and hopefully, like I said, what we've done today is been able to start the conversation around it, and then spread much more awareness. But the messages on there are just I don't know if you get a chance to have a look at them later, but they're all basically saying how incredible you are, how fantastic.
I'm not sure about that, but thanks.
No, they are, and how you deal with things, and you really do need to take credit for what you do on a daily basis to push yourself out of that comfort zone. It would be so easy to just be able to just accept and go, well, actually, yeah, well, I can't do that because of this. I can't do that because of this. And you are a shining example of that. So, people will watch this and be inspired by you. So that confidence element, if you could believe in yourself as much as other people believe in you, you'll be halfway. You'll be halfway there. Do you have any? Oh, bless you. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and catch up.
I've enjoyed it. Actually, it's scary. I'm not going to lie.
And I think that's the element. The nerves are building up, and we all this isn't a natural human instinct thing to do, to put yourself out there and for that element. But I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me here. I'm delighted that I was accepted onto your show, and to be the first person as well.
I know. Go down in history. Katherine, it's been an absolute pleasure for you, for us to have this chat. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Try and get some rest in. Seems you've been doing, with your maths this morning and this as well.
There's so many things I need to do.
When I say
first,
that's when I say get some resting, because I know how busy the rest of your day is. Katherine, I will catch you soon. Thank you so much indeed for being a guest, and take care, and I'll see you soon.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. As you can see, the tech issues are kind of moving things around. So it's all, again, very, very new to us. But this has been our neurodiversity stories. Katherine, as you would have seen, is absolutely incredible and inspired us all around dyscalculia. The reason I say it like that, and I have to break it down, is going to break it down in syllables. because I still find it incredibly difficult to say. Thank you so much for all your reams of questions on there. Apologies I couldn't get through all of those, but I'm happy to collate the questions and obviously Katherine can get all of your incredible kind words that you've mentioned as well. So guys, we're going to end the broadcast there and now. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. And we will be back next Friday at 11 o'clock. We have an amazing guest. I will put all the details, but I'll share out the link as well. We've got some amazing guests as well lined up. If I've not got back to you just yet, apologies for that, but we will continue to spread more awareness around neurodiversity. And I will see you next Friday. Take care, peeps. Cheers. Bye-bye.